Meeting, pledge allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're my witness that this is starting?
All right.
Okay. President Warner?
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz?
Here.
Trustee Pell?
Present.
Trustee Stafford?
Here.
Trustee Welker?
Here.
Sir, we have a quorum present today?
Thank you very much, Lisa. I'd like to waive the reading of the correspondence, being that we all got copies of it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ed, you want to accept the minutes? We've been plowing through the minutes. You should.
You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, we're plowing through them, so
Yes. So we're almost caught up on them, correct?
we're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's huge,
I know.
Lisa. Thank you.
We started with Tara Dunlop, and now we're with Megan Gillespie. Now we're getting our way through that to the next.
So we just need a second on the acceptance of the minutes?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We want to take out of the order the discussion for the Little Neck. I'd like to put that after the public hearing, because I see Chief Environmental Health Marty Shea is here, and I'd like to start to open up the public hearing for the comments on the draft management plan for Mecox Bay.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. So I'd like to, anybody that would like to come forward and discuss it with us, comments?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
And Surfrider Foundation. How is everyone?
Okay.
Good.
Happy Monday.
Yes.
I have data, so I have 8. I think that's enough. So I'm just gonna give one, and maybe you could just pass it down. I should give them to you too.
Colleen, could you please just sign in at the
Yes.
sheet there?
And state your name for the record, please.
Colleen Henn.
Henn?
Yep.
And you're with the Surf Rider Association?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Just want to make sure everyone has one, so we can
Almost
put it
there.
together. No worries, take your time.
We have better stamp. Put some ink on it.
This is in reference to Mecox, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure, so I can put it in the record.
I'll just start talking.
Okay.
My name is Colleen Henn. I'm the chapter coordinator for Surf Riders Eastern Long Island chapter. I also help run the Blue Water Task Force program nationally. I came in here a couple years ago to talk about cyanobacteria blooms, so it's great to see you all again. I know there's new faces, so hello again. But I was hoping to kind of introduce our Blue Water Task Force information for Mecox Bay to you all today. I read some of the plan. I will be honest, I didn't read all of the plan. It's pretty long. But I was hoping to address the use, hopefully, of Enterococcus Blue Water Task Force information within the Mecox Bay Management Plan. So just to give you a background about Blue Water Task Force, it's Surfrider Foundation's citizen science water quality testing program. There are over 50 labs across the country, and it seeks to basically protect public health at the beach, because nobody deserves to get sick after a day at the beach. These labs also help raise awareness of local pollution problems and bring together communities to implement solutions. Surf Rider Foundation's water quality manager happens to live in East Hampton, so we take our Eastern Long Island Blue Water Task Force program pretty seriously. We sample 50 locations on a weekly basis during the summertime, bi-weekly in the spring and fall, and monthly in the winter. So we have a lot of information. We sampled 50 locations, and those are bays, creeks, oceans. Our plan is meant to augment the data that Suffolk County Department of Health provides. As you all know, I'm sure, our beaches are Tier 3, technically, so they really get sampled once or twice a month. But we know we have a lot of people using the water out here. So we are trying to basically augment that data and provide more information to the public. We use the same health standard, which is 104 colony-forming units of Enterococcus. It is the EPA recommended standard for health. That's pretty much it. Okay, and then data. How can you get this data? I gave everyone a card. On that card is our website, so you can access the data on that website. That's a little out of date. It says we test 30 sites. We have recently increased by 20. But all of the results can be viewed online. You can also download all of the raw data, and within that includes date, time, air temperature, water temperature, of course, bacteria level, tides, whether the cut is open or closed at that point, which is, we'll get there. We'll get to that information. So the raw data is available online. We're very into open data. We want to make sure everyone has access to it. We also send out water quality alert emails to about 150 subscribers on a weekly basis, or basically whenever we sample. And then we share our results on social media. So let's move to the second page. This is where we sample within Mecox. It's the southernmost part of the bay, where the bay would be opened to the ocean. We have collected 91 samples there since July 2015, 23% of which have been over that 104 number, or standard. And let's actually just skip ahead to the last page. Let's just go to the graph. This is really what I want you all to look at. Sorry, it's kind of a little messy to look at, but this compares the date that we have sampled with the bacteria level, and that red line right across the graph is the standard for coastal recreational water. These spikes you can see are very prominent during the summertime. During 2017, there were 7 weeks in a row that the bacteria levels were above that 104 value, and that's right in the middle of the summertime. And then the orange arrows on the bottom are where we indicated that the cut was open at the time we were sampling. Obviously, I don't think this is every single time the cut has been opened, because we're not on the beach all the time. We only mark it down when we notice that the cut is open when we're sampling. So you can see that the Enterococcus levels do, for the most part, decrease when the cut is open. Does anyone have questions? This is a lot to look at, I understand that.
You do Sagaponic Pond also by chance?
Yes.
I'd be interested to see the data on Sagaponic Pond.
Yes,
You'd send that to me, that would be good.
it is worse.
I
We
would
realize
suspect it
that.
would be worse, so
I have one of these, I haven't updated it, but probably from 1 year ago, but I can update it and send it to you all if you're interested.
if you could send it to our office.
I would love
I mean,
to.
we're on the Mecox hearing, but as a side note, I
Yes.
think we could use the Sagaponic.
Does Stony Brook or college do the analysis of the water samples that you collect?
So we have two different labs. There's one in Montauk, which is in partnership with the Concerned Citizens of Montauk, and we have a Southampton lab within Stony Brook, Southampton, within Dr. Chris Coper's lab that we run in partnership with Peconic Baykeeper. So our staff, our intern, or the baykeeper are the ones processing those samples within their lab.
And as far as the sampling, is there a certain threshold or quality consistency that you have to follow?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
we have standard operating
So
procedures.
you're using a certified lab, basically?
Yes, technically, but our data is not certified because it's citizen science data.
Okay.
But the reason we're sampling is to inform, our local decision makers to say there is a problem here. We are not trying to open and close beaches with this data. We're just trying to say there may or may not be a problem in this location.
Your data backs up what I personally was suspecting.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, it just basically, underscores what I have been suspecting.
Yes. So yeah, I just wanted to present all of this to you because in the plan, I know you mentioned Enterococcus once with the Suffolk County Department of Health's data, but again, this is the purpose of our sampling plan, is to kind of augment that data and show just a little bit more water quality information.
And some information for you, we're going to we have entered into an agreement with Stony Brook to do real-time water monitoring, 2 sites in there, salinity, pH, temperature, what else, James? Dissolved oxygen. So
Okay.
you might want to take that information and maybe overlay it over this, and taking it a step further, the New York State DEC on all the shellfish growing grounds, and Mecox is one of them, they do water sampling for fecal coliform and such as that.
Okay.
So you might want to contact them, so you could have a nice overlay graph of 3 different, yourself, the SOMAS, and then the DEC, and it would be really good for us to see a shellfish growing area and how the blue-green algae and all the other stuff interacts, and then figuring out with our data when the inlet is opened and verify that it's opened and running. But, one thing that most people think about is, the best way to get pollution, rid of pollution is diluting it, or flushing. And that's really our only mechanism right now
Right.
for MECOX and SAG, is to drain it and to get flushing. So it's kind of a shame, but I think through the MECOX management plan, we're going to be working on a more holistic approach to the whole area. So we have drainage and usage on certain properties, runoff and such as that. We're going to start maintaining that on the property to start to get rid of that issue. So it's a big approach. But
Yeah.
with this information, it's nice to see this as it is, but to have it overlaid on those other graphs, it would really be helpful for
Well,
us.
from a triage standpoint, the stuff that's in the purview of the trustees, that's covered under our permits, because, we don't have the authority further upland. That's a different part of the group that's going to handle that. But in the interest of keeping, public health in check, it further underscores the need for this flushing on
Yes.
a regular basis,
Yes. I didn't say this is fecal bacteria.
I mean, just,
No, I mentioned it with the DEC when they do the shellfish growing areas. It's the fecal bacteria specifically they're looking for.
This is, Enterococcus is a fecal indicator bacteria as well. So it's kind of under the same umbrella as E. coli.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just laid this out on the 3rd page here, or I guess, I think I stapled these all differently, I'm sorry. But just a table of all of the bacteria levels per date. I know, because this graph can just be a lot to look at. But yeah, and then the only other thing, I just wanted to thank you for including harmful algal blooms, because this has become more and more of a concern that we've been, aware of and working on. We don't sample for cyanobacteria, but what we've been doing is leaving the remainder of our samples to Chris Gopler's lab. We'll do our 10 milliliters of our sample, and we'll leave the rest of that sample for them to test for cyanobacteria. So we are trying to get more information about, whether or not there's a bloom present.
When you sample when the cut is open, do you make note of the tide in terms of like which way the water's?
Yes. And we make note of whether the tide is incoming or outgoing as well. So that is all on the raw data.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you for listening.
thanks for coming down.
Thank you so much.
Very
Your
much.
graph is great,
Thanks.
too.
And my business card's stapled on there if anyone has any questions.
Thank you.
There is hard copies of the MECOX management plan if you'd
Yes,
like
thank
to
you.
take one.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Or I can use stuff.
Marty, you want to speak? Or maybe Aaron.
Marty, would you like to make any comments about the plan and update us a little bit?
Good afternoon, Marty Shea, Chief.
First, let's open up the hearing. Oh, we did already.
We did already.
We did already.
Really, we did already.
We opened here.
Sorry.
Chief Environmental Analyst for the town. As the trustees know, we're continuing to receive really helpful input from all the various stakeholders at MECOX Bay. I know that we have received a request just today that in the event that the hearing is closed today, that you leave open a public comment period so that the public can provide additional feedback. We did receive comments from the New York State DEC January 23rd, which were somewhat helpful in that they indicated willingness on part of the DEC to show some leniency with regard to inlet openings during the restricted bird season. They indicated that in the early and latter part of the season, if there are no birds present, there should be an opportunity to open the inlet without an incidental take permit. The DEC had also requested that the plan be strengthened with respect to speaking about the impact of high bay water levels on farmers. As the trustees know, we all have been working with some of the key farmers in the area in order to get the essential information with respect to economic impacts so that that can be integrated into the plan as well. Beyond that, they wanted some additional discussion with respect to BMPs or best management policies. They wanted, again, some additional discussion of some of the agricultural issues. They wanted some further information in terms of some of the seasonal factors that play a key in when the inlet needs to be opened and closed. But all in all, I think their comments can be well addressed, and I think the input that we've been receiving from the public will be most helpful in addressing all of their impacts. We have not yet received any additional comments from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that may be due to the government shutdown, but we will be reaching out to that agency to see if they want to provide additional feedback in the interest of bringing this process to closure and finalizing the plan. So I think it's been absolutely great that the local community has shown a tremendous interest in this plan, and it's great that we're hearing from all stakeholders. It's been very helpful in getting a better understanding of the issues that need to be addressed by the plan.
Marty, just to address that U.S. Fish and Wildlife commentary, I have been back and forth with Steve Sienkiewicz after the government had reopened, and we opened up a dialogue with his supervisor involved as well. And generally, there's some merit to setting up a similar type of a meeting as we were working on with Peconic Land Trust to talk about these issues during the endangered species season. In addition, they agreed that it would be of value to actually tour the farm as well, as the same that the Department of Environmental Conservation did.
Great.
So we're working on now trying to get dates that work for everybody, but the way it looks, it probably won't happen until March,
Okay.
okay? Some people are going on vacations and whatnot.
Sure.
So I think that we're making great progress. I think the government shutdown didn't help us on the delay on that side, but I think that we're going to pick right up on it. I think that getting boots on the ground and actually seeing the conditions in the field and seeing the impact to the agricultural, the key farmers, as you would call them, in that area, I think is going to be very helpful, to the next phase with them. And keep you up to date as we hear the dates, because obviously you're going to be involved in that conference.
Yeah, I look forward to that meeting, and I think bringing all those partners together one last time will be extremely helpful in terms of addressing any remaining outstanding issues.
I think what's really good about that also is that the state, Berg, experts are also willing to participate in that. And I think getting everybody on the same page, I think, is going to be very helpful for all of us to be successful.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
I have a couple of things I would like to say about this. Is there any clauses in here where we could look at this in a year to either opt out of it or to modify the plan? Is there any clauses in this plan where we look at it in a year, either if we don't like it, trustees don't like it in a year, to either opt out of this plan or to modify it?
Absolutely, and that is one of the items that's stressed by the timeline here, that there will be an opportunity for periodic review of the plan in the interest of making any necessary amendments. I think in order for any natural resource plan to work, there needs to be a commitment to periodically review that plan and make any necessary changes.
And how is that done?
That
People
would
ask me that, that's why I'm asking. So
that would be done at this level. I think how I see that process occurring is for my office to first sit with some of the trustees to speak to any of the emerging issues or any additional feedback that we're getting from stakeholder groups that warrants amendments to the plan. And then I see that discussion of those amendments would be brought forward in initially, at least in a work session. And then I would see that they would be discussed at a hearing.
Okay.
That's why I think we got to be so concise with paying close attention to the variables in the public, because it's greater than just the plan, because there's the crafting of 10-year permits that are going on here as well. So you want to be able to make sure that those permits that say come from the Department of Environmental Conservation at the state level and perhaps beyond, and obviously beyond that, we get terms that are going to work for this entire ecosystem and the stakeholders. And I think that's, why we have to be so concise with addressing all of these issues that the public is bringing forward, that the trustees are bringing forward at this point in time, because, even though, we're sitting here talking about making adjustments to a plan, when it's going to translate into the wording of a permit document, it gets a little bit more cumbersome. So I really think we need to get this right, as close to right as we can out of the gate here. So,
yeah, I think the initial goal is to prepare a plan that provides a solid foundation for issuance of a 10-year maintenance dredge permit. Upon issuance of that permit, though, we still want to go forward with building on many aspects of the plan. Some of those aspects may warrant, if appropriate, amendments to the 10-year maintenance permit. But I think the first priority is to produce a plan that both the state and the feds can reference in issuing a 10-year maintenance permit. Thank you.
Thank you.
In the absent, I'd like to comment on that. In the absence of our 10-year maintenance dredging permit, we've come onto this basically authorization of an emergency permit. And by the time we get all the material submitted to each one of the agencies for this emergency permit to be, given to us, the bay is much higher than we would ever allow it on a normal 10-year maintenance permit. A lot of these dredging projects and openings would have happened probably 2, 3, or maybe even a month earlier, and lessening the flooding of the farm fields and the terrible beach erosion around the perimeter of the pond. and, and also relieving it when there's a blue-green algae outbreak. So getting this permit, the 10-year maintenance permit, is really important to this board and really important to the ecosystem of Mecox Bay, because without it, the lag time of getting it, it causes more harm. So, and then just to comment about Billy's to opt out of it, I don't foresee, I think this management plan is going to be crafted in a way that's a living document, and it's going to be able to grow with the environmental issues. I mean, on the time that I've been on this board, we've had terrible flooding down there, we've had some severe beach erosion, we've had blue-green algae outbreaks, and, there are water quality issues which the surf riders have brought to our attention, and we know through the college. So there's a whole host of problems, and I think this management plan is going to look into upland issues to resolve them and to resolve some of the problems that they create on a downdraft kind of a momentum. So I think it's a good thing. And as far as opting out of it, I think it's something that we should work with in crafting it, making it better going forward.
Well, I mean, realistically, the Blue Book, which is how the trustees operate, this Blue Book, there has to be rhyme and reason attached to the function of the trustees for this board and for future boards. So we're spending all this work and all this time. I mean, this is, these charts, they're off the chart, way beyond, and I think that if we get a better handle on this through better management, hopefully you see better numbers than this. We'll do the best we can.
Is there anybody else that would like to comment? Aaron?
Thank you, Mr. Warner, members of the board. Aram Tertunian, First Coastal, West Hampton Beach. Listening to the discussion, it seems like we're headed in the right direction. I really think the topics that you're discussing right now are the finer points of the plan. And so I hope that we can move rapidly to adoption of this plan and implementation. And I want to emphasize what I just heard, which was the plan itself is really, this is the beginning of the process. It's plan, permit, implementation. So, and I agree, get it as right as we can, but at the other hand, we're spending a lot of time and money right now on these emergency openings, which are, they're difficult, they're hard on the board, they're hard on the stakeholders, they're hard on the agencies, and the sooner that we get to a point where we can increase everybody's predictability, I think it's better for everyone. I have some written comments I'd like to hand up. I apologize, I only have 3 copies because I wasn't saving paper, it's just I didn't have enough time to print more. I did give one to the clerk, however.
I have one. I have the gray master copy here.
No, I give you the color one because you're the president. So I just, want to go over some of these points briefly, and I think that you've heard most of them before. I just want to underscore a couple of them. But really, the 3 points I mentioned, which is adopt the plan, get the permits, and implement and adaptive management, which is what you've been talking about. What Mr. Pell brought up is, how do we know that this is working and how do we change it? And adaptive management is the watchword of the day. So as far as the time frame goes, I really want to push the board to act, quite frankly. It's been a long time, and there's no sense in saying how long or this, that, and the other thing, but we really need to move forward, because even if we move forward on an expedited application, it's going to be the middle of plover season before this thing gets adopted, which I'm going to get into in a second. The next point I want to talk about is this critical design elements, and the 500 square foot channel is an absolutely critical component. And the 500 square foot channel that extends the full 2,400 feet from the ocean into the central part of the bay is absolutely essential to this project, and I'll tell you why. You have an attachment there, and I'll give you a larger version to look at here. So we've been monitoring water level, and then we've been getting the data that James is collecting on salinity and dissolved oxygen, and we've been plotting these on a time series chart. So this is a chart that looks from October to January of this year, and it captures one big buildup that occurred right at the end of November, and then subsequent opening and changes that went there forward into late December. Here's the really important point. There's a lot of stuff here, but the blue line is the cross-sectional area of the inlet. And that is, you can see, maxed out at only 300 square feet. All right? And even when that inlet was open at 300 square feet, we only saw modest increases in salinity during that period of time. But when the storms hit, after the inlet was closed, the storms hit and opened it up again, and you can see those two storm events, which are in mid and late December, are the things that really push salinity up, okay? So what the opening of the inlet, the way that it's being done now, is not achieving the 500 square foot cross-sectional area, which is absolutely essential. And the only thing the thing that is really pushing this system to achieve the salinity that this board desires are these storm events. So I want to go back. The 500 square foot cross-sectional area in the full 2,400 foot length of the channel is absolutely essential to the board achieving the goals it set out for itself. That's number one. Number two is, and this, by the way, this is not news to anybody. The Stony Brook report recommended that. The initial draft of this report and the current draft of this report all recommend that. I just want to stress it. The other thing that's really important here is the disciplined and transparent implementation of the project. Opening and closing this project needs to be done according to strict parameters, and we can't have a reason that we don't have the funds to execute the plan. If we're going to put a plan together and we're going to spend what is, hundreds of staff hours of time here and even more at the state and federal level to put this plan together, got to do the plan. Got to do the plan. You got to open it when we say we're going to open it, and you got to close it when you say you're going to close it. It's absolutely essential, because we know that experience has taught us that not closing it when it needs to be closed leads to more beach erosion. Not opening it when it needs to be open leads to flooding of the farm fields and poor water quality. So I'm going to really stress the disciplined implementation and the transparent implementation of the plan is essential to achieve the goals that this board has stated. And then I'm really pleased to hear what Marty had to say about the Endangered Species Protocol, because you got to realize 42% of the year, 5 out of 12 months, are in the endangered species window. It's unreasonable to think we're not going to act. This board is going to act in that period of time. It's essential for public safety and public health for them to act. So let's establish the protocols now. They exist. The inlet has been open during plover season before. The protocols exist. Let's codify them, let's put them in, let's agree upon them, and let's execute them.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
I know, I hear it happening, but let me just give you some ammunition here. Okay, the trustees have been monitoring plovers at the inlet now for many, many years. I have 15 years of trustee plover data. Did you know that there were 7 nests between 2004 and 2018? 7 nests. There were 10 years that were no nests at all at this location. Right, so I understand that this is attractive habitat. It is. By the book, this is attractive habitat. But by the results, there aren't a lot of plovers nesting here. So, yes, plovers are important, legally and environmentally. But people are important too. And there has to be a protocol that protects both. And we can't leave it for the moment, because one of two things is going to happen. There's going to be conflict between the desires of this board to act for public health and safety and the agency's desire to stop that action. So there's either going to be conflict or there's going to be worse, no action.
Or somewhere in the middle.
Well, somewhere in the middle, we need to get there now.
That's what we're doing, that's
I know.
what we're doing.
Well, I just want to encourage you.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alan.
I just want to encourage you, keep doing it.
Well,
Don't let up.
Right, and that's why I think it was good the state
Beyond
came
our
out.
control.
Well, it is and it isn't, because
The federal government shutting down is beyond our control.
well, that part is.
Well,
Yeah.
because
That's a little, that's a little bit, but as I said, I'm very encouraged to hear that this is the conversation that's taking place. I want to encourage you to push forward. I want to help you to the extent that I can. I think it's important to, it's one thing to say, this is wonderful habitat. It's another thing to say, there's only been 7 nests in 15 years.
Well, yeah.
and no nest for 10 years.
You have to take in consideration the amount of beach use that's acquired by this area, because it's a very unique area. And also, when the inlet is closed in April, going into the nesting season, the bay seems to flood out probably 90 or 95% of the prime habitat where they would nest and forage. So by that happening, it really controls the amount of nests that are, are acquired there.
So being an arbitrary slave to this window created April 1 to August 31 is actually harming the species, because April is the second rainiest month of the year, and that is what causes the bay to flood and the habitat to be submerged. So if you need me to join the chorus with the agencies, I'm certainly happy to do that.
I
Okay?
mean, it's,
We might need you to do that.
Okay.
thanks for the commentary, it's good.
So on a lighter note,
I think you're right on track on that.
I think this board's right on. What I heard before I got up here was, these are elements you're talking about, and I want to get behind that 100%.
You know, I have to leave here early because I have to have a meeting in Riverhead at Legislator Krupski's office about similar type issues in windows relating to the Suffolk County Dredge Program, which our town greatly relies on, and I have to be there to represent our interest, Southampton Town trustees and interest. It's similar type concerns with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and winter flounder windows and red knots and all this other stuff. And
You can just point out for the winter flounder window, the USGS quadrangle they use runs from Long Island Sound to the Peconic Bays and all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So those are the habitats they're using for a single species window.
They never notified the seals.
But on a lighter note, as the Grand Marshal of the West Hampton Beach St. Patrick's Day Parade, I want to invite each and every one of you and everybody in the audience to come on March 9th at 12 noon. We're stepping out. And I just want to let you know, I reserved a raffle ticket for each one of you. You know, with the appropriate contribution to the St. Patrick's Day Fund, this will be yours. I want to thank the board for their service, and I hope you will come join us on the 9th and celebrate.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have one of those tickets now?
I'll do that later.
You can have the last one I have.
I'll catch you later on it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be excused. I do have to
Yep.
make that
Okay.
other meeting relatively
All right.
tight. Could you handle my
Yep.
permit function?
Yep. Thank you, Scott.
Good luck, Scott.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to put some comments on the record for the Mecox Management Plan? If not, I'd like to adjourn the hearing.
I'm sorry, we have a letter from Attorney Nika Strunk. The board has a copy of it.
Would you like me to read it into the record, or just
It's up to
recognize
you.
it?
I mean, she's asking for respectfully request, ask that the trustees keep the written record open for at least another 30 days, during which time I will make the written submissions described above.
Yeah, I believe that's between that and the Fish and Wildlife and...
Okay,
the
so
other
that would
comments.
bring us to, well, the first meeting in March is the 4th. The second meeting in March is March 18 at 1 o'clock.
All right, second meeting in March.
So that's 3/18.
Is everybody okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Who was the second, Ed?
I was.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. Bruce, you have a discussion about the electrical service.
Yeah, we finally got a meeting with Liper. This guy, All Service Electric, is who the town uses, so there's no bidding process. And what this bid is for the $18,811.68 is to bring electricity across the street with a pole, with an A-frame and whatever materials you see there. And then we're gonna run extension cords from there to the dock to operate the ice heaters. And at some point, he's gonna have to come back and install, when we decide on what lighting we want, and if we're gonna put any more lights down near the dock. On that pole that he's gonna bring into the driveway near the motel to our right, there's one light in here, it's for parking lots.
Okay.
That probably would suffice. And then we were thinking about putting something down further towards the dock to light up the walkways so nobody trips and falls.
Okay.
A very, dark skies accepted lights, which is in here. But right at the moment, the only thing this bid is for him to bring the power in, hook it up, and then we'll go from there. There'll be a phase 2 to this.
Okay, well, I think it's a good project. We've saved for many years for the dock lottery funds to accumulate money for this projects like this. We put a brand-new dock in there and facility, so I think it would be a good thing that we move forward on this.
I agree with you, Ed, and I'm very glad that you said the dock lottery funds, what we saved from the dock lottery, because I thought that fund was abolished.
Well, it
No, that's right, we'll just leave it there.
It's in the general
I'm just
account,
glad
so-
that you said it,
Yes.
and that you recognized it.
No, I was on the board when we established it to
Yes, I was
save money.
too, but the new members were not on the board, so they have no idea what the dock lottery fund was.
Well, we're gonna spend the money to make a better facility down there. All right, thank you, Bruce.
My one question is, did you get several proposals?
So I have to,
several bids?
this gentleman's an accepted bidder for us. That's all he has to be. He comes off either a state or county bid. He does all the work for the town. It's similar to like Chesterfield doing our digging. We don't have to go out to bid,
Okay.
so,
He's already been vetted through that process.
right. So we're gonna move forward with this?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, James, I have some trustee permits I'd like to do. Trustee Resolution 2019-36.
Sorry, Ed, you need to call public portion.
Oh. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to address the board? There's no one here, so unless the press would like to come forward, not, I'd like to skip over that.
Thank you.
Go to the permits. Thank you, Lisa. Trustee Resolution 2019-36, renewal and modification of permit number BLK 00029, Norman Stump, 90 Little Neck Road, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County, tax map 900-272-2-5.50.1, man-made canal off of Fort Pond. We vetted this through the work session. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2019-37, renewal application for the first renewal of Pine Neck Landing Associates, Inc., permit number BLK 00121, south end of Landing Lane, East Quogue, Suffolk County, tax map 900-362-1-48, body of water, private marina in Shinnecock Bay. We vetted this through the work session, and I recommend its approval. I need a
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Resolution 2019-38, waterfowl hunting location expired and non-renewal permits. We went through this on work session. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
So
All in favor?
one moment, please. So I made a couple phone calls, 4 phone calls to the individuals that have these location expired permits. I was able to speak with 3 of the 4. Gilbert Berteau, I was not able to speak with and had no communication with. Brian Shamlaffel, I spoke with. I thought he was going to be here today, but he is not. I have emails from Jason Holohan and Michael Irving that I'd like to read into the record, if I may, since they were unable to be here today. Is that possible?
Yes, if you want to, yes.
Okay, this is from Jason Holohan. Per our discussion, the blind location for permit number 96 is not accessible from the west without walking through chest-high water. It's only accessible from the east at the end of Little Neck Road by boat, which makes it difficult and a bit dangerous to access. It's for this reason I was not able to use this blind location. I would like to be put on the waiting list for another blind if possible.
Once he's got a blind, is he able to go on the waiting list? That's the question.
He asked to do this up.
But,
He'd have to relinquish his blind location.
well, that's what's happening here anyway.
Yep,
So
yes,
he would just have to go through whatever process the office uses downstairs to go onto the waiting list.
yes.
Okay, cool.
And this would go back into the lottery.
Right. regarding West Neck duck blind. This is from Michael Irving. This note is to confirm our conversation about the blind on West Neck and the preserve on Scallop Pond area for duck hunting. Please pass my thoughts to the trustees. In regards to the blind, I presently do not have the available time to make use of it and well understand the pressure on opening new spots. However, being a shore blind, I do have some reservations on your authority to do such. I have hunted the Scallop Pond marshes for over 50 years and experienced some great memories and hunts with the Berglunds, both Niels Lee Jr. and Ted Sherritt's, past town attorney, and whose blind is in this discussion. The area being tight always dictated a limited hunting pressure on the bird population. There is a sanctuary to the south, which was always left alone with no blinds near and was considered a resting area. Hunting was always limited both in times, dates, and birds. Today, with little respect to wildlife, blinds have been added in close proximity of each other. The pressure being put on the wildlife is a poor reflection of being stewards of our wetlands. Next year's season looks like length and bag limits will be considerably reduced by the DEC due to a poor hatch and declining populations. In September in Saskatchewan, Canada, I saw a poor migration with few juvenile birds, not what is usually experienced. A late spring freeze killed off most of the young birds. As stewards of the wetlands, I ask you to act responsibly and not simply replace a vacant spot because of political pressure, but to do the right thing in protecting our waters and limit the number of permits you issue. While I am a strong supporter of hunting, I have a huge respect for the wildlife I hunt. Being trustees, do not forget you are the stewards of our wetlands and as such protect our resources. You may decide to rescind my permit, but I ask that you not replace it for now. Respectfully submitted, Michael Irving.
Well,
We should
normally,
have those emailed to Lisa.
I'll do that.
And have
Yeah,
it put
and-
in.
when we would take over a blind location, we would put it back out for the next available person on the waiting list to be able to hunt. Like Mr. Irving did recognize that there's limited time, and we do have limited resources as far as blinds go. So, I mean, and it's an area where you can hunt, and it's at times a good area, but you're only limited to the amount of days you can hunt there. I think when we take it back, I think it's something that we should consider a discussion with the full board when we're here and see what's going to happen for the future of this blind.
Yeah, we should really look at it because it is close to the sanctuary.
Well, I think we should, take it into our, into our system, our duck blind program, and we'll have a discussion on what to do with it in the future.
I think before we have that discussion, Richie Frank should be in the audience, who's in charge of it.
Yes, I think all interested parties
Should be
in the trustees should have this discussion and to make the best decision for it.
Before we were to do that, would we consider the fact that Mr. Irving is an elected official at this point, and given the fact that there's a tremendous time commitment with that, as anyone on any board or an elected official knows, would we give any consideration for an extension?
But it's been 2 years that he's not been able to acquire this. This isn't the first year. And if he has an issue with time commitment as far as his elected job, he should have someone as a co-blind.
Go permitter.
Co-committee on this.
Yeah.
He has had 2 solid years to acquire all of this stuff. So, no, I think we've given enough
He could take
chances.
someone off the waiting list as a co-permitter who wants to hunt, who would say, hey, help me grass it and use it,
There's been plenty of opportunities to make this location work.
In all reality, the Bacons should have wrote him up 2 times. They never have.
Well, he's had 2 solid years so I think we should take it back into our possession, and we'll have a discussion on where to move forward with it in the future.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
We have a motion, we need a second, or we want to table this? How do you want to handle this?
You have to,
Are you here on the duck lines by any chance? Okay.
No, I like to move forward with it. I think it's something that we've had a year to figure out, and, you know, it's to this point, we should make a decision and move forward with it. I mean, there are people on the duck blind waiting list that would love to have at least this one location, Mr. Holland, and so that's my opinion, so I'd like to move forward with it.
I agree with Ed.
Need a second on it?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Ann, are you voting yes?
Sorry.
Should I call the roll?
Yeah, why don't we do a
Yes,
roll?
do you mind calling the roll?
Yes.
President Warner?
Yes.
Mr. Horowitz has left the room. Trustee Pell?
Yes.
Trustee Stafford?
Yes.
Trustee Welker?
Yes, but just in the one incidence with the permit location, not 96, the rocks that a homeowner has in front of his house, don't let there be access by the beach. So,
Yeah, but your vote
That's-
has to be a yes or a no. There's no like parceling it out into different things.
Okay,
But that's an
so-
issue where, you know, some people may be able to access that blind versus someone
By
else,
water.
right? So that's
okay.
for whoever it gets offered to.
We give the
do it.
permit out to have a blind, and it's up to the blind holder to find a way to get there.
Okay.
If he's gonna drive, helicopter in, take a boat, hike, swims, it's up to him.
Okay. So, yes.
Thank you.
We have a unanimous vote.
Okay. So we're going to move forward.
It's up to him or her.
Yes. I'm going to do Scott's permits here. Trustee Resolution 2019-39, renewal application for the first time. Ronald Felden, permit number BLK00114, 16A Sunset Avenue, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-360-2-43, body of water, Phillips's Creek. We went through this in work session, so I recommend it.
Second.
Well,
Or was it the other application? I think I attached the,
Marty's letter was for 16 Sunset,
okay,
and this is 16A.
This is 16A.
it's not the same parcel?
Let me check the email.
Right on the front page, yeah.
Oh, here it is. Currently, there is an application for a bulkhead repair pending in front of the trustees for the above referenced property. As to Marty's request, I'm attaching the resolution of conditional approval which requires establishment of a naturally vegetated wetland buffer extending landward of the bulkhead. At present, the applicant has not yet sought the approval of the draft covenant establishing the required buffer. However, we want to make you aware of this requirement so it could be incorporated in the trustees' decision-making. So I think we should probably hold it because I didn't,
I think that's in it because it was in the permit when he did that, because of the people looking at the permit. Because I remember it was a great discussion. Well, this is where the person has a right of way to go through there and all that. House in front of it and house in the back.
Right, this is the one where 4 different people have an interest in the dock.
okay, yes, yep. Applicant proposes to renew the permit to remove 289 section of timber bulkhead, cutting bulkhead at the property line, and to restrict in place of existing vinyl sheet piling, same height, leaving the existing section on the adjacent parcel, including an existing rock revetment located on the adjacent lands, whereas installing 289 feet of new bulkhead and a new 10-foot vinyl return inside the property lines. Applicant proposes to remove 719 square feet of existing concrete pad, dispose of an approved upland site, to construct a 4-foot wide boardwalk, untreated material landward of the reconstructed bulkhead, to establish a 10-foot non-turf buffer area, beach grass landward of the reconstructed bulkhead as per the trustees' regulations. So does that cover that, or does that,
I see no reason why this board can't approve that permit right now. I think Marty's contention is that he wants, for the pending Conservation Board application, to establish the buffer starting from the bulkhead, but that doesn't recognize the fact that the applicant has a right
a 10-foot?
to be able to repair his bulkhead within, the
Yep.
structural components of the bulkhead extend 10 feet landward.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think that's an ongoing tension that we've seen before, but for the instant application that's before this board, you're approving the bulkhead, and structural components of that bulkhead do extend,
Okay.
for the dead men into.
Well, the only question of concern, I think, would be is the
The buffer,
4-foot, the 4-foot wide boardwalk.
Will it be attached to the bulkhead?
Yes, it will be attached to the bulkhead, so then it would be under our jurisdiction.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're all good with it then?
yeah.
Okay,
I mean, that was a great, we did spend a lot of time on that before.
okay, all right.
You need a second, Ed?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Trustee Resolution 2019-40, renewal applicant, first one, David Harris, permit number FLD 00027, 26 Quanog Neck Lane, Quogue, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 902-11-3-2, body of water, Duck Canal. We went through this at work section. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2019-41, applicant Adar Musaranian and Emily Musaranian, 49 Indian Run Road, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-363-3-19, body of water, Shinnecock Bay. We went through this at work session. I recommend its approval. Need a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2019-42, applicant Stephen P. Farrell, 99 and 101 Dune Road, Village of Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 902-15-1-5 and 902-15-1-6, body of water, Quonic Bay. We went through this at work session. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2019-43, application of Marie Goldstein, 42 Rampasture Road, Hampton Bays, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-320-1-4, body of water, Tyana Bay. We went through this at work session also. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2019-44, application is Julie M. Bernard, trustee for 248 Tad Point, Southampton, New York. Tax map 900-59-1-29, body of water is North Sea. We finished this through work session. I feel this should be approved.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018-253, application of Daniel Levine, 55 Covers End Road, Village of North Haven, Suffolk County Tax Map 0901-6-2-51, body of water, Sagaba Cove. We're going to have to table that once more.
Okay.
The next meeting is March 4th. The meeting after that is March 18th.
Let's try the 18th.
Is second on the 18th? All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2019-11, application for Robert Latch, 13 Wells Lane, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County, Tax Map 900, 321-04-19. Wells Creek is the body of water. We had discussed this with the chairman of the Conservation Board. What was the final outcome of this? I thought he was agreeable to it, or have we gotten anything written, correspondence back from him?
No, we have not.
Do you want to table it until the March 18th?
Let's
meeting?
table it because I thought Agena had a solution. I'm not sure if this covers it.
Yeah, but well, there was this property and there's a adjoining
Right,
property
the
also that
adjoining
were an issue. All right, so I would like to table this until the March 18th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I get a renewal application, second one, 47 Sam's Creek LLC, 47 Sam's Creek Road, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 09-134-4-33, body of water, Sam's Creek. We went over this at work session, nothing's changed. I make a motion to go through.
Well, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2019-46, renewal application first of Susan Farrell, permit number PHR 00001, 471 Sagaponack Road, Suffolk County Tax Map 0908-3-2-3, body of water, Sagaponack. We vented this at the work session. I'd like to see this go through.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I have a renewal first, 88 Redwood Road, permit FDL 00025, 88 Redwood Road, body of water, Saginaw Cove, Suffolk County Tax Map 0903-1-3-4. We vented this at work session. Make a motion this goes through.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I have a renewal first for Patrick Horn, Elizabeth McAvoy, permit number WRC 00658, South Harbor Road, North Haven, Suffolk County Tax Map 0901-6-5-27. Great Pond Creek, we vended this at work session. I'd like to see this goes through.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2019-49, application of Andrew Edelman, 28 Stacy Drive, Village of West Hampton Beach, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 905-10-5-33.5, body of water, Mauritius Bay. This is for the installation of a 4x100 fixed dock, elevated 3 feet above, elevated 3 feet to the bottom of the stringers as per trustee Blue Book requirements. I'd like to recommend its approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018-312 authorizes a name change of Canoe Place Road located east of Shinnecock Canal to Old Canoe Place Road and changing of the name of Canoe Place Road located east of Hill Station Road to Old Canoe Place Road East. We went through this, worked on this at several public hearings, and it was recommended by the Chief of Police and the fire departments that this move forward. I don't know if anybody else has any comments, but I think it's something that gives the first responders accurate descriptions of addresses, so I think it's a good thing.
Second.
All in favor?
Can you call the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. President Warner,
Yes.
trustee Horowitz is not here. Trustee Pell,
No.
trustee Stafford,
Yes.
trustee Welker.
No, with an explanation. The residents of this area seem to not feel that this is a prudent decision. This was brought to the board by the GIS of Southampton Town. The trustees did not make this initial idea put forth. I think in interests of safety, that it's very important, but I think in the interests of the residents, that we should listen to them.
Yes, thank you, very well said. Ann.
Okay, the resolution fails.
Okay.
It's been defeated.
I got one comment. Being a volunteer fireman, you got to weigh the pros and cons. And as a driver, and as I reiterated something that took place maybe in Sagaponack, East Hampton area, but that gentleman doesn't have that opportunity to speak at this meeting because I sent the ambulance to the wrong location. And Southampton Town just adopted a name change for safety reasons. I don't think you can trump safety over people worried about that mail or the tax bill. Everything would work out, but safety should be the #1 priority on this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce. Trustee Resolution 2019-50, warrant number 2 for 2019 for the sum of $6,530.27.
Could you read that in too, please?
I certainly may. Carl and Jack's, Inc., $309.97. Fisher Signs and Shirts, LLC, $350. W.W. Granger, Inc., $82.45. Messiano Consulting, Inc., $4,720. That was for the preparation of the grant consulting agreement, meeting the deadline of January 28th. Riverhead Building Supply, $575.33. Southampton Press, $91.20. Verizon Wireless, $328.02. WB Mason Company, Inc., $73.30 for a total of $6,530.27.
Thank you,
You
Lucy.
need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Bill, you were the second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for reading that.
Trustee Resolution 201-51. This is a recall on amend Trustee Resolution 2018-266. Trustee Resolution 2018-266 adopted November 5th, 2018, authorizing expenditure of the VACTA service along Trustee Road. This was just a clerical error, and this is clearing it up. I'll make a motion this goes through.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2019-52, Central Purchasing Contracts. This is authorization to purchase a F-550 XL from Van Border Ford using Oneida county contract. I can make a motion this goes through.
I'll second that. All in
Can
favor?
you read, do a roll call on this, please?
Certainly may. President Warner.
Yes.
Trustee Horowitz is not here. Trustee Pell.
No, because we did not discuss this. This is the first time I heard about this. So it's like another lack of
I
communication.
brought up a used truck and you wanted a new one, here it is.
Well, we did not, Bruce, do not yell at me.
I don't have
We
to
did
yell
not-
at you.
We did not discuss buying a new truck. Yes.
We
buy a
did
new
right
truck.
then and there.
Buy a new truck. We did not discuss which new truck we're going to buy. You just don't have a resolution, we're going to buy a new truck. I don't go home and tell my wife I'm going to buy a new truck tonight without discussing it. the
Sorry
night
for you.
before. So my is no.
Trustee Stafford.
Yes.
Trustee.
Wholeheartedly, our guys need it and they deserve it.
Trustee Welker.
Yes.
The motion carries 3-1.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Resolution 2019-53, resolution authorizing president to execute and sign commercial account with the Home Depot. Need a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Trustee Resolution 2019-54, approve use of professional services of Suffolk Environmental Consulting. Need a second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Trustee Resolution 2019-55 authorizes expenditures for hunting signs. This is something that we've had discussion with the Bay Constables, and we're moving forward with putting signs on areas where people have road ends, access to the beaches, and advising the public that they will be hunting in permitted areas. I need a second on this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
These signs will be put up during hunting season?
Yes,
And then
before.
taken
Prior-
down?
So it's telling you, just like on Riverhead Road says hunting is
Okay.
taking place.
And the payload
Okay.
dumping.
We're going to put it on our website, and hopefully we can put a sign in our office so that everybody knows the dates of it.
Right.
Great, yes.
Yeah, it's something that we're going to be proactive, advising the public that there's hunting in progress. That way, you know, it expands our hunter safety and education to the public.
Right.
So I think it's a really good thing.
Thank you.
Trustee Resolution 2019-56 authorizes expenditures for de-icer at Old Fort Pond Dock. As we just discussed, we're in the process of putting a electrical system in there. We're also going out to bid to put de-icers at the dock in case we get a severe freeze. That way the dock doesn't get pulled up from the ice. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee, this is yours, Billy.
Trustee Resolution 2019-57, notice of public hearing on permit application for Justin Barbara Gubbs for the premises located at 40B Island Creek Road, North Sea, town of Southampton, New York.
Recommends approval. I need a second. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Bruce, one quick question, as far as the proposed dump truck. Now, the new Bobcat that we had, can we dump in the back of it? with it?
100%.
So,
It also will tow it.
So-
It's a heavier duty dump truck. It's an XL. It's exactly like Alex. It's got 6 of them. Except ours is gonna be a different color to match the green. And it's gonna have a stainless steel dump bed on it, so it lasts.
so it's a total functioning component with
Correct.
with the Bobcat, the trailer, and the dump truck. Thank
That's
you.
what it should have been discussed
You have
before
some
we had a
specs
resolution.
here, if you'd like the board to
I
review
got nothing
them.
but money.
I have the specs.
This, I know, I passed them out and
Okay.
nobody read them.
Okay.
No, they were looked at. But, Billy, if you want to look at the specs.
Yeah.
We got it off a special bid, so it's a gas motor, because diesel's $61.
$61,244.93.
15,000 for a stainless steel bed. Well, we're around salt water all day long. and-
Should have him come up to the podium.
I'm sorry, yes.
Would you like to address the board before we adjourn the meeting here?
I got 2 other things.
Yeah, okay.
Good.
Can you please sign in?
You can come up over here, like in our living room.
We're opening public portion for this?
Yes, there's a gentleman in the audience that would like to address the board, so.
Well, first, I would like to say, I'd like to give everybody on the Board of Trustees a copy of this book.
Excuse me, sir, could you just state your name for the record?
Stephen
please?
Storch,
Thank you.
Watermill,
Thank you.
one of my high school and college favorites. Just, there's chapters in here by Leopold. These are articles from magazines he used to write for. And he was an amazing conservationist in his day, and he got to hunt and backpack and truck around the United States when you can go for 2 months without seeing a road in the inner parts of the country. And he wrote chapters in here on like thinking like a mountain, land ethic, how, good oak, and things like that, and I think it would just help everybody's perspective. You need to see these?
Just need the author, so I can put it in the record. Thank you, sir.
To open up their hearts to the problems we're facing in all these places. I read over the Mecox Bay Management Plan, and kind of reads like a CSI forensic investigation of a dead body. And I look around the bay at these projects, like down on Flying Point Road on the west side of the cut. This house is going in, like on that narrow strip. Over here, right over here, there was a lot. It's not as deep as this room. They had an excavator parked there with a computerized dashboard for making the cement pilings and putting them in. And then there's another lot next to that flagged out. And it looks like you're pulling into Kennedy Airport down that place now. These houses are ridiculous.
I saw that too, and I called about it. Evidently, there was like a small structure there, and it's being replaced.
That's no small structure
No,
now.
no.
And they decimated the earth green cover to do it. They didn't go in with a post hole digger. It's just rapacious. And now, how much, this plan was invested in. And I'm reading it, and it lists all the problems very nicely, but there's no solutions raised. Like the 15,000 acre watershed should say, No chemicals here, farmers only. Nobody else can put chemicals down here. I don't care what your lawn wants to look like, you don't like weeds in your driveway, too bad. And unless, we can develop the, the power and the sensibility to talk to, this is our town. What these people come here and want is, these are investment properties. This is my home. They're not interested in the same things I am. And, so, okay, there was a shed there, and that's what they gave them approval for. And I just looked at a project over on Sam's Creek, and they took 30% of this woman's yard for re-veg on a renovation on an old Jaffe house. And the house next door isn't gonna do it, and the house past her got torn down and is building a huge house twice the size, and it's not contiguous. It's like now, like the guy from the beach restoration place, First Coastal, was talking about everybody down the strip should get a permit, so at the same time, they could build the same structure and make it continuous so that there's not, jutting out breaks in it when you do it like in a bulkhead restoration project. There's no reason, like that whole area, you could say, we're gonna use all the federally recognized and approved organic farming practices in this area only. I always run up into people that say, oh, we gotta get it approved by the DEC and the EPA, and no, it's already approved. People are already doing it, you're already eating this stuff on your food if you go to the right places. And there's no reason that our landscape could not be treated.
Well, this is a little bit out of it's like a lot out of our jurisdiction.
Well, it is, but it needs to come from you because your job is to protect the waters and the bottomlands within the town of Southampton. And if you don't have your finger in this building thing, everything, look around the bay.
That's why I asked if that could be amended later on, because stuff like this could be amended into this plan.
Amended. I'm waiting for somebody that's got something, to say to everybody that we're in a state of emergency environmentally. It's like these blue-green algae blooms, these fish kills and die-offs, and this rate of building and where they're building and how they're building. And look, I was in Nugent and Potter the other day, and I picked up this thing about this is like the new septic system they're pimping to nitrogen reduction. Well, it doesn't take out chemo meds, opioids, Roundup, and all this other stuff. Plus, if you don't use special cleaning agents in your house, it's not going to work. Not going to work.
Well, I think you said it very clearly. It's a re-education of the public. And, we've sent out, stuff in tax bills into mailers to people to, plant buffers and to use the proper, choices on your property. And when we go around the town and talk at, certain events, that's one of the things that I preach is whatever you put on on your property ends up in the bay. So,
All right, so
we do realize it.
This is CPF money. CPF money. You come down Mecox Road, and this is a hotel. James was over here. This is the head of
Hayground Creek.
Hayground Creek, and it crosses low this wetland here. Whoever's doing the landscaping for the CPF people is spraying Roundup on the mile-a-minute vine in the wetland, right there. Go past there in June or July when that stuff should be pumping green, and they spray it with Roundup, and it's all dead.
Well, it's a conversation we can have with the people at the CPF, but
And I already did. 3 years ago, when Christine Scalera was in charge, and they stopped, and they were gonna do it by hand for a while, rip it out. And I saw where I caught him was up on Town Line at Poxabog. Okay, so you got the concrete road going through the edge of the woods, and on the west side, you got not even as wide as this room, a strip of trees that's left. So, of course, you get an invasive plant, comes in. Poison ivy, mile-a-minute, thistle,
Well, this is something that you should have a conversation with Marty Shea and have him, advise him what's going on, because he's the chief conservation guy in the town, and a conversation with him and just, and your concerns. I mean, it's beyond our jurisdiction. We can talk to people on the town board, we can talk to people in the
Not
public.
according to the Dongan patent, because it directly affects water quality. I don't see how everybody expects this water quality, and that's the compartmentalization is the biggest problem here. Because, state, county, feds, everyone's going like this. And when I tell people that are in this position, that your pension fund is invested in companies like Monsanto, which is why it won't get banned in any of the 50 states, there's nothing anybody can say. This is why I say this has to be done like in an outside, the way you're currently operating. Something else needs to happen. And now there's this whole other energy going on in this place with, the overbuilding, and these people just covet our resources, and they don't care if they destroy it. And, I was out clamming, and out in front of Far Pond and Middle Pond over there, I thought I was in Coney Island Creek. I swear, there was not one living clam. A few worms that were alive in those flats, low tide, and it smelled like coal tar when you dug it up.
Well,
And
I would
look at-
argue that point, because I'm a bayman and I spend a lot of time in that area, and there's a lot of clams in the east end of Shinnecock Bay. Actually, the Shinnecock Bay proper had probably couple of the best sets of clams in the
Well, I'm
last
talking
20
about
years.
an old place. I used to live at Far Caps Cottages and Leprechaun Colony, and I know how much it's changed. I don't expect it to be the same, but I didn't expect, and I know what I'm looking at when I'm in the water. Okay? Then, not about just bushels in the basket. When I'm in there looking, there's no dead, there was nothing alive in those flats. I challenge anybody to go out there with a shovel and dig a hole at the end of Far Pond Road on that flat at low tide and tell me what you find.
Hard clams.
Dead. You're on where you could walk out to the edge of low tide so that whole flat that gets exposed, and maybe from a boat you can get out there and get some hard clams, but everything from the groundwater seepage into the water is killing the edge. If you're saying they're out there, they're out there. I didn't go out in a boat.
All right.
I was on this shore with a scratch rake. And then the other thing I noticed in Mecox Bay is when you empty it out, all the construction, all the filling, all the digging, all the landscape compaction and reverting the movement of air and water through the soil, the groundwater is flowing much faster into the bay. Where a rain event would put a foot of water into the bay, now the whole watershed dumps in, so you get the first foot of water just from the surface runoff, and then you get 2 feet added into the bay just from the groundwater flowing so fast into it. And that's the whole perimeter under the edge of Deerfield Road where you just put in all them big drains. That changes, all of that digging changes the pressure on the groundwater, which affects the flow. Call Geological Survey, Steve Terracciano, and ask him if they have any studies with that information. And then that means all of the stuff in everybody's septic that's leaching in is moving much faster through that transport system into the water. These are all just, things we have to deal with and readjust to, but it's all just kind of very one-sided.
Well, all we can do is make recommendations at this board. If it's something in the bay, we can take an action on
I
it.
think there's no communication really between the trustees, the conservation board, and the planning board, because I go out there and I look at things, and none of it is holistic. There's no holistic thought process in this whole thing. And, something needs to change with that. And
I mean, we're-
maybe, I'd love to come up to a work session, get Marty Shea here. and
He
we'll
was
talk
just
about
here,
it.
and we had the whole discussion on the hearing of the Mecox Management Plan. He's been at other hearings, and he's spearheaded, from his perspective and his side, the Mecox Management Plan, and.
Yeah, I read
he's
it.
done-
I read it.
I think it's a good document. It's
Like I said,
perfect,
it
no,
reads like
but
a
I think it's,
forensic crime scene investigation.
well, it's taken a lot of time and effort and a lot of agencies and a lot of people involved in it to get it to this point. And it really takes into consideration a lot of the bad things that are going into the bay, potentially things that could possibly be run off from the lands and stuff like that. So there's a lot of components have been thought about in this management plan to make it work.
This information, I hate to tell you, is 100 years old at least. People have been studying this in ecology for decades. So, this is all coming very after the fact. I think it's a good effort. I guess better late than never. Now, and the other thing I would say is that, I work with this, like a planting calendar that looks like this. It shows you full moon, new moon, apogee, and perigee every month. So when was the last time you opened the cut? Was the end of January?
Yeah.
It's open now.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday?
I think it's dried up now.
The last time that it was opened was just after Thanksgiving.
No, it was
No,
just
no.
open.
No, I meant the last
Right,
time
right.
before this
Oh,
current opening.
okay.
Yeah, and it ran for 14 days,
So,
and we got 3
anyway, so
extensions, so.
now it's gonna close again, and there's gonna be another rain event, precipitation. The full moon and the perigee of the moon are on the 19th of February. So that means there's gonna be a lot of water and a lot of rain, again. So it would behoove you, I think, to come to understand this rhythm and open the cut here, right before this rain event. And because a lot of the stuff on the edge of the bay, like the rib mussels, they're like vestigial. They just drown in this fresh water. There's not, they're like, at the edge of the edge of the bay, it overflows and gets under 1 or 2 feet of water. And it's all very fresh. And it's probably the most polluted water that comes in fresh out of the ground or off the surface.
Bless you.
Thank you. Excuse
So,
me.
if the cut is open during a rain event and the flushing
There's no
into the
chance
bay
for it to
event,
build
it's
up.
going to be trickling out as it comes in. And then in the in-between time, it could set and then run out again.
You do understand that when the bay is low, you can't open the cut because there's no head of water to cut through the barrier beach to empty the pond further, right?
I understand, and that's also what makes it run willy-nilly. When you got 2 feet of water running out, I mean, there's going to be a flow. If the beach bar is at the right level, you can tweak it and come in and open it up so that it starts to drain at the beginning after 24, 36 hours after a rain event. I understand how they do it.
But you also understand it has to, the fresh water from the ocean has to go back in to keep the salinity up.
Well, right, so that's why I'm saying if it was open it's going to wash in when it's open. That's, the tide comes in, and then there's also, high tides and low tides.
Correct.
So, maybe you're looking at that stuff when you do it,
I
but you
think
don't.
We do look at the phases of the moon, the ocean waves, whether they're large, the prevailing winds of the day that we open it, the tide when we open it, it's usually a high tide when it's popped, so it will get the full run, draining out as much as it can and cutting it natural channels so we get a good, exchange of water. And then the bay, you need strong northwesterly winds and northerly winds to create friction on the water so to push the water out. So there's many parameters that are taken in consideration. But the biggest issue that we're dealing with right now is to be able to get an emergency permit from the DEC and the Army Corps. When we apply for it, sometimes it'll take almost upwards of a month before we're granted this permit. So we missed several windows of opportunity to open a functional cut in between that
So
time.
if you went through the whole year and you said, these are the days we would like to open the cut, and just get one permit for the year.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a 10-year management,
That's what the 10-year permit's for.
which would allow us to
This
open
last
it.
time, the mark was hit, we're not allowed to open it. We actually had to beg and borrow with this woman. Martha and I sat in a room, gave her everything that we normally give her, wasn't good enough. She needed more. Luckily for us, we had a little bit of water on Bay Lane, come out to the road, the school bus kind of run off the road, and that prompted her to issue us a permit that afternoon. And then, by the time it issues, you gotta wait for the wind to be in the right direction, and the storms could have come past, or they're gonna be 2 days later, but you don't have a choice. You gotta open it, and the machine stays down there, it's a 2-day event to dig it, they pop it on the second day, and they pop it at very low tide, so it gets about an hour to run, and it's dead low tide, so it drains properly, and then she'll fill back up a couple of times. They keep the machine there overnight, 24 hours, because we've opened it up, and the wind changes, and it closes it, so we open it up again. And, you know, they made us close it this year, where we didn't want to close it, it's not under our, I guess, OSPR to say yes or no. She issued us a special permit, so that was a waste of, I don't know how many thousands of dollars to try to fill it, and it was failed. What it did was stop the water from going out, but as a storm, the high waves pushed it over, that's what raised it so high. I wish there was something we could do where it would work for all of us, and I haven't seen it yet. But this 10-year, this management permit, I think is really gonna help us when we can do it. We get that swath out in the middle, go right out in the bay, instead of coming around the corners like it does, and that slows the process down, going in and going out.
Water likes to do that, bro.
Yes, I know. Well, at least at this point, we get it open, we got it flushed, and April's coming right around the corner.
Okay, cool. Now, what about this lady over in Hayground Cove that's feeding the swans? From Roseville Road, I counted 250 swans up in that creek.
I would,
And I couldn't see around the point, there must have been another, based on the density I saw, there must have been another 75 on the shore where I couldn't see anymore.
that would be a call to the DEC. You're not supposed to feed wildlife.
You're still not eating your clams.
No, I mean, we can't be everywhere. So
Well, I
if
know,
you see
that's why I'm sitting here saying,
If you see an incident like this, I would contact the Bay Constables. They're, call them up and register a complaint. If you know the address, I would send them directly to the house, because, I don't know where you're talking about. I mean, I've seen a lot of swans in Hayground Creek, but I've never seen them conjugated specifically in front of one
you could
house.
see the house on MapQuest or Google Earth, because it's got all the swans in it.
Guess you should bird lover, huh?
Well, it's illegal to feed them, so.
Well, that's my 2 cents for the day.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
Thank
Steve.
you for sharing your
Thanks for the
thoughts.
book.
Thank you for,
Legionary Creek, the guys went down there, did a little work. They've got to go back down there. There's a couple of major stop-ups that Day's not able to do. And I figure when the guys free up, not for the next couple of days, they go back down and open up, there's a bridge that's closed off, the water's starting to run around it. And they can start working on that. Also, Scott was approached by your group, Ann, to surf riders. They wanted to do the beach cleanup, as they've done numerous times since I've been elected. All we do is take the trailer up into wherever they want it placed. I sent out an email advising everybody of the work being done on the trailer, and that Scott and I were taking the trailer to Bay's Tiana, and drop-off time, pickup time.
Yeah, I didn't get the message until I came in the office today, because my phone only gets my town phone only gets messages when I'm in town hall. I guess there's an issue with it. Plus, it stops working again today, altogether, so I have to go talk to IT. But Billy did bring up a concern that we didn't know about it. The reason I didn't know about it, because I didn't come in on Friday from my phone to get all the messages.
Right there, black and white on the phone.
Yeah, but my phone didn't get it.
Mine
till-
didn't either.
So,
But we also, Martha should explain when you use a trustee vehicle or trailer, how that should be used.
Well, I mean, it all depends on the nature of what's going on, but in
How to
general,
get it out to use it, I should say.
what? What
How
do
to
you
get
mean?
it, I just can't go and, take it without permission and resolution and insurance and all that kind of stuff.
The best way to do it would have been to, probably discuss it at a work session and ensure that like we had, the proper insurance certificates, or at least like a hold harmless from Surfrider. So moving forward in the future, that would be the best way to do it, because they are loading, unloading into the trailer, right? So if
They're only loading, there's no unloading, we
well,
do that.
yes, only loading, but it's depending on what you're gathering, if it's
Here they're climbing on it, they got someone to have a pitch on it, jumping on the garbage inside the trailer.
First, Richie knew about it, he's in charge of maintenance. I'm the liaison. This has been going on for 3 years.
sure.
And now we're gonna hold surf riders hostage?
No, we always.
Yeah, we always what?
Bruce, I'm speaking. We always let them use it. I have no problem in help.
Then why are you making a big stink over it?
Bruce, please, I'm talking. The stink I'm making over it is the procedure, how it's done, okay? That it should be discussed at like the work session, or have a resolution that it's going out to make sure that everything's in the line. Not just, I'm gonna help these guys out, don't tell other trustees, don't get permission from the trustee board, just take the trailer and we'll be fine. If someone got hurt on a trailer, dumping, putting garbage in, jumping up and down on the pile, okay? Break a leg or something, we're at fault, okay? We want to make sure we're covered. That's all. I'm not asking for $1 million. I'm just asking that we be notified and it's run on the board.
You were notified, February 8th.
You don't get the point.
Should I call you directly from now on?
Bruce, you don't get the point. At a work session or at a meeting, okay? You can call me anytime you want. You got my phone number.
I'm not the Surf Rider Foundation, I didn't organize this. She called, it's never been a problem before, but all of a sudden, everything's a problem.
can I just make a suggestion that we, the beginning of the year, we pass a resolution allowing Surfrider to use our trailer for the whole year, so that we don't have to go through this twice or 3 times a year. Just do it one time. We'll have a discussion. In December, January, we pass a resolution for the year allowing or working with Surfrider for the beach cleanup, and then just put it to bed.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
good.
everybody will know, and then we're all covered, because the last thing we want is someone getting hurt. And I know, Bruce, you volunteered your time, and so does Scott, and so do we all, to make these projects work. But if there's a concern, I want to make sure it's addressed, and then we'll just move forward and make sure that, it moves smoothly for the whole year.
Yes, sir,
think
I
that's-
agree with you.
I think it's the best way
And
to
have
do
the
it.
dates all
Yes.
lined out.
And then we can tell people in the public, Surfrider picks 3 or 4 dates, however many times they do a beach cleanup, we put it on our website, and then when we meet people in the public, if they want to volunteer to go help clean up the beach, give them the dates and let them all go down there.
Yeah, because you never know. Someone could be up at the town barn and seeing Bruce hook up to the trail and take it and doesn't know what he's using it for and thinks he's stealing or, using it for his own use.
Shouldn't I be worried about that?
You never know. I was up at the town barn and I saw a town employee come and take stuff, and I said something to Alex, and the guy was using stuff without permission.
Ed, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that way we.
Yes, I
that
agree
way
with
we
you. Ed.
All put it to bed, and then we can
Yes.
schedule it and put it on our website.
Yeah.
All right?
It's good for everyone. Good plan.
Does anybody, so getting back to the cleanup of the Laguna Creek down there. Now, we've done it in the past when I was first on the board. We work with the Boy Scouts in cleaning the whole area up. Now that we've had extreme rain events for the last 18 months, so that pond is really high. So hopefully this spring, when the LYs swim up, through Sag Harbor Cove, they can get up there. So that's what we're trying to do, right?
Yes.
Make it accessible. I did, Halsey Neck Pond, I did have a correspondence with the DEC about 3 weeks ago. They sent me an email about cleaning that drain that goes from Taylor's Creek under the road to Halsey Neck Pond, I'm going to reach out to Mayor Irving to see if they've ever done anything over there, and if they haven't, I'd like to get our maintenance guys to go in there and clean that drain out so that the LYs have a nice access to the pond.
Okay.
The Village of Sag Harbor is also jumping on this to clean underneath Sag Harbor Turnpike or Brickell Road, whatever
Okay.
it needs.
Yeah.
I met with Dee, the superintendent, and his guys went over there to remove the top of one of the drains, looked down through it, and it looked pretty clear. And then they're gonna go over to on Brickell Road and look at that one.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's important that we get these accesses open in early in this season before the LYs.
They'll be here pretty soon.
Yes. So,
I just have a couple things. I just wanted to remind everyone that there is a public information night meeting on Tuesday, March 5th, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock in Hampton Bays Senior Center. We've reached out and contacted a couple organizations to speak about the activities at the Tiana Bay Park, and in the process of reaching out to one more. So that's one thing, Tuesday, March 5th, the night meeting. Second thing is East Hampton Town passed the balloon legislation last week banning the intentional release of balloons. The legislation has been forwarded to members in Southampton Town, so I hope that that will be moving forward. And the last thing is there anything update-wise about Rose Hill Road?
Will you hear me? No, there's no update
no,
right now.
Okay, thank you.
none that I know.
The only update might be is that I asked the assessor, the attorney, to have Randy clear off that ramp once more,
Okay,
since it's under his obligation.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of material on it.
And it's a great thing, he puts it back out and goes right back in the system.
Yeah, yep. Did you attend the Suffolk County
yes, thank you.
dredging?
Yes. So Suffolk County
Marine.
Marine Industry Revitalization Advisory Council meeting the other night. There were many interests that were involved there. Marina owners, aquaculturists, speaking about the Suffolk County 10-year approval. People speaking about dredging. This was the second in a series of meetings. There was one held further to the west the night before. I spoke briefly, and what I mentioned was that we have our priority dredge sites, and the county's done a good job with limited means, with one dredge, and limited funding, but I asked about them to consider, just in interests of residents, marina owners, the environment, to think about non-priority sites, because there's so many entrances to harbors, ponds, bays that do shoal over, and anything that they could think of or look at to be creative in their funding or in any type of consideration for extended dredging time. So just to look at other options there. Also, in interest of water quality, when some of those entrances are shoaled over, the salinity levels are impacted. So, and pathogens also would be a factor, so that was,
Did they have any discussion as far as expediting the permits that are necessary to get these dredgings done? Because the biggest holdup with dredging projects is the ability to get a dredging permit in a deposition site. And most of the permits that we've had for many years, so they keep using the same sites. But trying to get a new dredging project, like the one in Moneybog Bay up in West Hampton Beach, it's without a deposition site, it's going to be a non-starter. So there's got to be a mechanism to help the town, villages, or trustees, or whatever entity it is trying to get these permits to acquire these sites.
I asked about any consideration for spoil sites, and I asked about any help with permitting. There was a gentleman there who spoke about Penniman Pond over by he said it hasn't been dredged in, I think he said since the 60s.
60s.
But he was very interested in that, so perhaps he'll reach out to us.
Was it Andrew Lynch?
It was, yes.
Yes, that's, well, segue, if you don't mind. I had talked to Jim Walker at Inner Science last year about coming up with a proposal to get some dredging permits for us, and one of the areas that I had a brief discussion with him last year was Penniman's Creek. The village does own a piece of property that the DEC would allow deposition to be put on it. So I would like, some guidance from the board. Should I go and meet with Jim and ask him for like a cost proposal of, the professional services to get a permit for this area? It's an area that has several, 2 public access launching ramps, a sailing yacht club, and it does have very bad water quality in that area. That's like one of the epicenters of where the brown tide first starts out. So I will go, if everybody's under the agreement, I'll go and try to get a cost proposal for putting together a application for dredging in this area.
I think that would be a great idea.
Okay.
It would be good if you did.
I think that Mr. Lynch would help you in whatever capacity.
Well, the last correspondence I had with the village of Quogue was with the mayor. I was supposed to meet with him to pick 3 dates and go over, maybe talk about an IMA with a cost share of getting the permit together, because it's going to be pretty expensive to just get the permit. But once we got the permit, we'll have it for 10 years. And I had the Bay Constables do depth sounding. Low tide is about 2 feet of water, so it's severely shoaled. So I will have a conversation with Jim then and get back to the board on that, okay?
Great, thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else?
I do have a matter for the board. The keys are ready for the side entrance for the board, but everyone needs to have a demonstration because there's a certain way to tumble the lock to close it. So if everyone could stop downstairs and speak to Peter Gordiello, I think he's going to show everyone how to use that. It's what's known as the building department entrance.
Okay.
Because every other entrance is being worked on.
Yep, all under
So if you
construction.
have time, Peter will show you when you're finished downstairs.
Okay.
All right.
It's up
Thank
to
you.
the board.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa. If no one else has anything like to adjourn, I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.